It was an early noon at the monster's Benitsu. Zane was sitting by himself at the training area to do some meditation. While he was doing that, he heard a voice behind him. He opened his eyes and turned around and saw it was P.I.X.A.L. He asked her if there was something that she needed help with. She nodded and said and that she needed his help, that she wanted to ask him if he could help her to do some upgrades to the Samurai V.X.L. And Zane said, "Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm done with my meditation already." It turned out he had already been doing his meditation for about an hour, and when P.I.X.A.L came on asking him to help, he didn't mind. So both of them went to where they have their car, Samurai V.X.L, do some minor upgrades to the systems. After they had been worked for at least a few hours, they were actually happy the outcome of the upgrades to their vehicle. And P.I.X.A.L said, "I'm very happy for you to help me with this. If I did it myself, it would have been taking a bit longer." But Zane said with a smile, said, "Two extra hands are always the better, am I right?" She nodded and smiled. "Yeah, how about we take the Samurai for a test drive to see if it actually works? Just to make sure that the upgrades are, doesn't even acting up or something." Zane thought it was actually not a bad idea. So both of them end up in the Samurai and took a drive in the Niago City. And as they were driving around, they were just small talk, and they did testing some of the upgrades, and there were no problems with the new upgrades. But as they were heading back to the garage with the Samurai V.X.L, they noticed a group of Hypnobray standing on the street outside a small store. There was at least four of them. They were somehow harassing the store owner to give them some food, but the owner demanded that they pay for the food, but they said that they didn't have to pay, they can just take what they wanted. Zane told P.I.X.A.L to stop so they would get out of the car and just approach this Hypnobray and take care of this problem. As they did that, as they were approaching them, they turned around and saw, and one of them said, "Ah, it's just one of those crazy ninjas," they said, and they all laughed and said, "You don't have to do anything here. This is our business. Don't mind your own." And they just turned around and started harassing the store owner. But Zane, he was calm and once again tried to ask them to just leave without causing any problem. But they just ignored him. P.I.X.A.L said more firmly to them to turn around and face him when he was talking to them. But they didn't listen. And she suggested to Zane that he use some of his ice power in order to make them listen. He did. And they quickly slipped on the ground when he made an ice road underneath their feet or under their tail, and they suddenly stood up and turned around and looked at Zane and said, "How dare you? We were just wanted to have some food, and you want to do this." But Zane and P.I.X.A.L said calmly, "You had to pay for the food, and you can't just take it as even you just want it." But then P.I.X.A.L said, "If you don't give back the food, we will make you into an iceberg." And that made the Hypnobray even more angry. But they realized there are two ninjas, especially one with superpower of ice, and they couldn't have stand a chance otherwise of themselves, so they gave up and just left the area. The store owner thanked P.I.X.A.L and Zane for the help. He was willing to offer them something, but both P.I.X.A.L and Zane said that they didn't need it because they don't require food or drink otherwise. But he apologized for that and said he didn't know exactly, he didn't know that, but he once again thanked them for the help, and they once again said, "If needed help, always contact us. We will always be there if needed." After that, the store owner thanked them once again, and they ended up in a car and drove back to the garage. At the garage, they were just talking about what happened. And Zane told P.I.X.A.L he is very impressed of her being calm in sort of situation. She said, "It's a practice," she said with a smile, and he nodded. A few days later, at the monastery, well, when Zane was doing some training with Cole, they talked about this event happening in his town earlier, and Cole was like, "You really handled that well, didn't you?" Well, Zane's like, "I wasn't alone though. P.I.X.A.L made the most calm words and her calm practice of calm them down." Yeah, that makes sense. But after training, suddenly when Zane was by himself just relaxing, suddenly he received a call, and it was from P.I.X.A.L. And she was sounding frankly on the phone. It's like, "P.I.X.A.L, what is the matter? What is the matter? The, the samurai, what? The samurai V.X.L is damaged. What happened?" It turned out that Kai and Skylor used the Samurai V.X.L for a drive, even though they had permission, but they would just turn around, but suddenly this vehicle from opposite side made them to turn and hit a wall, which made some damage. Kai and Skylor apologized to both P.I.X.A.L and Zane when he arrived at the garage to solve the damage. But he told them, "At least you two are okay. You two are more the matter. Your life is more matter and more important than the vehicle." But Kai apologized and said that he would do anything to help them to repair the car. But he said he didn't need to, because since P.I.X.A.L and Zane probably would work together faster than themselves, and Kai just hoped that he could do something to repay this. But Zane told, "Well, I will figure out something. But for now, let's good to think that you two are okay." Then both Kai and Skylor thanked once again and left. Zane walked over to the car and he looked at it and he asked P.I.X.A.L how much time would it take them to repair the car. She estimated about at least a few hours if something would even go more wrong, but she estimated around 5 to 7 hours at most, maybe 10 if something would happen. And Zane's like, "Let's do it." So they start working on the car, and this was in the early afternoon when they start working. They weren't even done until like in the late evening. Unfortunately, there were some complications that happened which made them to work for at least 10 hours. But since they didn't require food or drink or any rest, they just worked and worked without a break. Afterwards, afterwards, Zane told P.I.X.A.L after they had repaired the car that it went perfect. After they had been repaired the samurai, both P.I.X.A.L and Zane was actually happy of the outcome and that the repairs was just finished. And even though Zane did make said statement that he was just okay that both Kai and Skylor was okay, that rather than Ben have been serious injured. And P.I.X.A.L agreed. But after they had been just finished the car, Zane actually looked at P.I.X.A.L and he then asked her something. P.I.X.A.L, yes? "There is something I wanted to ask you for a while now." And she asked what it was. He then said that for a while now that he has been actually been thinking about her, and he thinks that she is a very brilliant engineer, very good builder, and even a good fighter, and she can act so calmly in such a situation. And for that, he very much admired her as a personality and as a friend. But after all this they had been going through together along their friends, that admiration had started to develop something more. He actually said that he had fallen in love with her. P.I.X.A.L was a bit stunned, but then she smiled and said that she felt the same thing for him. He was a little bit surprised himself, but then he said, "You know, I wouldn't mind to be with someone like you. After all, we are pretty much the same. Even though you may not have an element power, but I still love you no matter what. You're a genius engineer, always, always there for help. And when you came up with this idea, the Samurai VXL, I was really impressed of your work." She smiled and said, "Yeah, I mean, I always want to do something for my friends," she said. And then he asked her if she wanted to be his girlfriend, and she said yes. But they decided to keep it a secret from their friends for a little bit, for a little while, and she didn't mind that. For the next couple of days, Zane went back to the monastery, practiced with his friends, and even other things. Even though when he was in town, he did help around if there was something was needed. But one day, after they had been dating for about 2 weeks, Zane asked P.I.X.A.L if she wanted to take a drive with the samurai as a part of the date. She was actually she was a little bit hesitating, but asked him what he meant. He had been studying a lot of romance from his friends and other people and movies and books and like that, and he thought, why not to take a night drive together and maybe just go somewhere and watch the stars together? She was actually very much happy, and she thought that was a very romantic idea, so she agreed. So they took the car and drove over the town, and eventually they found a spot where they got out and just stood there near the edge of the road and watched the stars, and it was just so perfect. Even though that Zane and P.I.X.A.L would understand that normal couple would just go out eating or something like that, but since they don't require food, that was not necessarily. But then, after they have been a couple of weeks after the first date like this, or their night drive, Zane asked P.I.X.A.L while they were working on the car if she wanted to go out dancing. She was actually a bit hesitating at first, like, "Do you never even how to dance, though?" He shook his head and said no, but I had actually been practiced with a little bit of that recently. "Oh, really?" He nodded. "Well, I don't mind, as long as we have fun, though." So both of them actually decided to go to this dance club in town only a couple of days later, and when they arrived, sure, a lot of people did stare and like a bit surprised, but they recognized both P.I.X.A.L and Zane. And even some of the people actually did comment, but they would have been surprised to see Zane there. But after their dancing date, they actually made it official, and they revealed this to their friends only a couple of days afterwards. And to their astonishment, that they thought that they were keeping as much a secret, but when Cole and Kai's like, "Zane, we already had a feeling that you and P.I.X.A.L were already dating." "Wait, you do? You did? But why didn't tell anything? Why didn't tell anything about it?" "I mean, if we just had a feeling," said Cole. "Yeah, that's right," said Guy. "I mean, even if we were right, it is not our business to reveal something that if you want to keep as a secret." P.I.X.A.L said that he admired their honesty and appreciated it. But Naya herself, Kai's younger sister, and Skylor, they were just happy to hear that P.I.X.A.L had found someone like Zane. After all, they were very much similar, and they just had a great time together. It isn't but the best of them to admire that. To be with the one they admire the most is the best thing. Even after that, even after all this, Kai and the others were just happy for both Zane and P.I.X.A.L. But after they had been dating for about 3 years, P.I.X.A.L and Zane wanted to take the next step in their relationship. Because during this, on their third anniversary, they actually did talk about something about to take the next step. And so they actually decided to get married. And P.I.X.A.L had asked Naya to be her maid of honor, and Zane, well, he had a little bit difficult choice to ask which one to be his best man at the wedding. He'd either had Jay, Sky, Cole, or even Lloyd as an option to ask. But after for a lot of consideration, he decided to take Cole as his best man. And the other guys, they were a little bit jealous, but they supported Zane's idea and his choice, of course. Afterwards, they decided to have the wedding at the monastery, and they had invited a few friends and something like that. But it was sadly that Zane couldn't invite his creator slash father since he had already passed away. But Kai and the others of his friends told him that no matter if his father, his inventor slash father, was no longer around, but his spirit will always be with Zane. And Zane smiled and said thanks. Even after the wedding, everything just went well. They actually had a great time. Both Zane and P.I.X.A.L had such great wedding. And another thing is, they even went to celebrate honeymoon in Niagara City for about a week. And they just had a great time, enjoying this on the local shows, performance, and all that, just having a good time. But after being married for about 4 years, both Zane and P.I.X.A.L had talked about they wanted to start a family. But it was a small problem for both of them, since none of them was actually a biological creature or a living being. So that was impossible for them to have any. P.I.X.A.L said they could maybe create a child, like maybe make an android. But P.I.X.A.L, after considering this idea with Zane, but he thought maybe that wasn't perhaps a good idea. But then Kai and the others suggest why not adopt a child. So they did. After considering the idea of adopting from an orphanage, both agreed. So both Zane and P.I.X.A.L went to the orphanage, and they adopted 2 daughters, sisters, twins actually, both named Vega and Robin. Vega and Robin was just happy to have a new parents. They were really excited it was actually Zane and P.I.X.A.L. Vega told her dream was to be a teacher, and eventually she did become a teacher and even got married at one point to have 2 daughters of her own. Robin, she wanted to be a teacher herself, but in martial arts. Even though she wouldn't have the element of powers like her father, but she wanted to teach a form of martial art, and eventually she did. She opened up her own martial arts school and even got married at one point, and she was just married and have 2 daughters and 1 son of her own. Zane was actually very happy that he and P.I.X.A.L had feelings for each other. Even though he did admit himself that if I haven't had revealed my feelings for P.I.X.A.L, all of this wouldn't have happened. And I'm very proud and happy that I took the step to do this. And both P.I.X.A.L and Zane were happy to be with each other. And this is how Zane and P.I.X.A.L for the true love got a big family together. The end.